Good morning, everyone. On behalf of Vetiva Capital Management and our media partners at Frontier Africa Reports, you're welcome to today's edition of the breakfast meeting. On our agenda for today, we'll be getting the usual rundown of the equities and fixed income markets from our traders. We'll also be hearing from our partners at CGF Boss, and they'll be giving us updates on the BRVM. And then we'll conclude with headlines from across Africa by our media partners at Frontier Africa Reports. Before we move on, I'd like to remind everyone that the meeting is being recorded and it may be shared with third parties. It's also being streamed live on our Vetiva online Facebook page if you'd prefer to view or join from that platform. The session is also set to last for 30 minutes inclusive of Q&A. And if along the course of the session you have any questions, you can send them in using the chat function available on Zoom. And if you're joining us from Facebook, you can make use of the comment section. However, I'll be having a Q&A segment, and if you'd prefer to speak, you can make use of the raise hand function and you'll be called upon to speak. We'll now start off with Symbiat from our Global Equities Desk, and she'll be taking us through some markets from across West Africa. Good morning, Symbiat.
Good morning, Victoria, and good morning to everyone. Like she mentioned, I'll be doing a quick rundown of yesterday's performance in the Ghana and Nigerian equities markets. And starting in Ghana, the market started another week on a positive note, advancing 37 basis points on the back of 14.29 price appreciation in ETI. After trading flat since August 30th, the third most traded stock on the exchange closed yesterday's session back to the opening year price of 8 pesos. Other gainers in the session were Societe Generale and the Standard Chartered Bank, all consolidating the gain in the GSA Financial Stocks Index to 97 basis points. Speaking to activity level, this improved in comparison with Friday's session. We had the volume and turnover increasing by over 100%. And this boost can be attributed to the financial services sector and, of course, the only telecoms company on the exchange, and that's MTN Ghana. Going into today, we expect markets to trade in similar pattern with 1 to 3 stocks lifting the index and familiar names like MTN, Cowbank, and ETI boosting market activity. Over in Nigeria, we saw the market pick up from Friday's negative close as ASI shed 2 basis points to close yesterday's session. We saw investors continuing to take profits in Oando and Lafarge, while Zenith Bank had a reversal from the positive close on Friday, shedding 1.25%. Guinness as well. Guinness also closed the session down by 3.23% to close at 30 Naira, after trading flat at 31 Naira since August 24th. Looking at the positives yesterday, market activity did improve, with volume trading up by 30%, while turnover went up by 11%. However, market breadth stayed negative as the session had more stocks decline than gain. Going into today, we expect some banking names and small cap counters to continue to boost market activity like we've been seeing in recent sessions. For example, yesterday, we saw Fidelity top activity charts after its impressive half-year results. And also FBN and Access had quite a number of trades. And we expect this to persist in the short term as investors continue to bargain hunt across sectors. Thank you, and that'll be all from my end.
Thank you very much, Symbiat. Next up is Omorige, and he'll be taking us through fixed income and currencies. Good morning, Omorige.
Good morning, Victoria. Good morning, everybody. System liquidity declined marginally yesterday to open at about 15.1 billion negative, coming from the 7.4 billion positive that was recorded on Friday. Consequently, interbank rate tightened by an average of 38 basis points as OBB and overnight rates closed at 14.5 and 14.75% respectively. For today, we expect interbank rate to trade at lower levels as inflows of 51.54 billion from coupon payment, that's on the 2024 paper, and also OMO maturities of about 38 billion coming to the system. The parallel market lost about 5 naira yesterday to trade at 550 naira to $1, while the new window opened at 412.46 naira to $1. The highest trade that was recorded yesterday was 414 naira to $1, while the closing rate was 412.75 naira to $1. Brent and WTI gained about 0.2% and 0.3% to open today at 73.66 and $70.68 per barrel respectively, amid supply concerns as investors continue to trade sentiment that there will probably be disruption to supply in Texas on the back of signs that there is another wave coming after the hurricane that disrupted supplies earlier. So moving on to the T-bills market, the T-bills market opened this week on a very muted note with weak sentiment observed majorly on the long end of the benchmark curve. Trades were majorly consummated on the 25th August 2022 paper, 8th September 2022 paper, and the special CBN NTB, that's the 29th November 2021, with average benchmark rate remaining unchanged at 4.75%. The OMO market also opened this week on a relatively quiet note, with little or no activity seen across the benchmark curve. Overall average benchmark rate remained unchanged at 6.11%. The bonds market opened this week on a quiet note with mixed sentiment seen across the benchmark curve. We observed rates on the long end of the benchmark curve, especially on the 2050 maturity trade between 13% and 13.2% levels, as market players continue to cherry pick attractive offers across the curve. Few trades were consummated yesterday on the short and long end of the benchmark curve, especially on the 2029 and the 2050 maturities, with average benchmark rates increasing by about 5 basis points to close yesterday at 11.96%. Euro bond market trade on a very active note yesterday with mixed sentiment seen across the sovereign curve. We witnessed some buy-side pressure on the short and mid-dated maturities, that's the Nigeria 23, 25, 2031, and the 2035, while we saw some sell-side pressure on the long-dated maturity, that's the Nigeria 2049. The corporate space opened the week on a very flat note. For our expectation today, we believe that the bonds market will trade actively with a bullish bias on the back of the coupon payment of about 51.5 billion that is coming into the system today, as players will try to invest that inflow, while we expect the T-bills market to also trade actively as players try to reinvest the OMO maturity of about 38 billion that's coming into the system today. That concludes it for fixed income. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Omorige. We'll now be hearing from Justina from Frontier Africa Reports, and she'll be giving us some headlines from across Africa. Good morning, Justina.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. We start here from the East African region, where Kenya Treasury has vowed to push for the reintroduction of excise duty on betting at a rate of 20%, in a move it says is aimed at curbing the rise of the gaming addiction among the youth. In Tanzania, Tanzania has become the latest African state to ratify the agreement establishing the African Continental Free Trade Area, making it the 38th country to ratify the treaty. Meanwhile, Vodacom on Monday said it has agreed with other consortium members to fund Safaricom Telecommunications Ethiopia PLC. It's a new mobile telecom service provider which was set up in the country. That's following the license which was given to the consortium some months back. In Southern Africa, again, Vodacom has expanded the deployment of solar-powered sites in an effort to reduce carbon emissions. It has deployed 3 new facilities costing it about 8 million rands. Meanwhile, Sanlam Limited has announced that its UK subsidiary is set to sell 100% of its stake in in its life and pensions unit to Chesnara PLC for £39 million. The effective date of the transaction is expected to occur during the first quarter of 2022. The President of Angola has approved a loan of $150 million with the International Bank for Development and Reconstruction to support this response to COVID-19. In North Africa, Libya's State Minister for Economic Affairs, Salama, says that contracts have been signed with Egyptian companies to build electricity stations in Libya, which is valued at $2 billion. Also, Lafarge Holcim Morocco has reported net income of 1.039 billion dirhams in the first half of the year, compared to 431 million dirhams for the same period in 2020. Now, over here in West Africa and Nigeria, it's set to be a busy week on the economic and business calendar, as the September monetary policy meeting of the central bank, which was earlier scheduled for next Monday and Tuesday, has been brought backwards for Thursday and Friday this week. Today, we are expecting the release for the data of Nigeria's local and foreign debt for the second quarter. August inflation report is expected tomorrow, and then updated report on petroleum, gas, and the others coming up this week. Meanwhile, the group managing director and CEO of the Nigerian Exchange Group, Oscar Onyema, has been elected to the board of World Federation of Exchanges to serve for a 3-year term. He will be representing Europe, Middle East, and Africa region. In Ghana, the government secured a 1.24 billion Ghana cedis from the sale of the 6-year bond issue, which was oversubscribed by 24%. And that's all from Frontier Africa Reports. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Justina. We have now come to the Q&A segment. If you have any questions for any of our speakers, you can send them in using the chat function available on Zoom. And if you're joining us from Facebook, you can make use of the comments section. However, if you prefer to speak, you can use the raise hand function and you'd be called upon to speak. Okay, it appears we do not have any questions today, which means we have now come to the end of today's session. And on behalf of Vetiva Capital Management and our media partners at Frontier Africa Reports, we thank you for joining us today. We hope that you have a productive day ahead, and we hope to see you in tomorrow's session. Good morning.